I think one of the things that I found very hard at school, and one of the things I still find today, is sort of learning a series of facts or learning things like times tables.
Everything was like by rote, by rote, by rote. Did I retain any of that information? I don't think so.
Math is quite hard as well. It's like adding all the numbers up, that's quite hard.
I always loved it, 3D geometry, because I had good 3D spatial awareness. And so other kids would be sort of, drawing pictures and trying to get it. I could picture it in my mind, and I loved that.
One day I actually praised my teacher for saying, "You finally made maths fun." And that, coming from me, is probably one of the highest praises I can give.
I think my strengths are puzzling, like solving puzzles, and I think one of my strengths is maths, because I'm very good at maths.
So a lot of us think about dyslexia only in the field of reading, but because it's a brain-based difference in how we process information, it can manifest itself in all kinds of areas, including math.
They might interpret a certain digit as a different digit, or see it as one way and write it as another. Sometimes, and quite often, children would have trouble interpreting kind of what we would call wordy problems.
One piece in math is the sequential elements of it. So working through multiple steps, while they might understand the concept and get the big picture of what they're trying to accomplish, following multiple detailed steps can be very difficult for them.
We see the biggest struggle with math because it is sequential, and because typically we think that math has to be done one way and one way only, and there's one solution. And that does not work for our dyslexic students. They want to ask why, they want to come up with different solutions, and really math does lend itself to that.
There's so many different ways that you can solve a maths problem. And I think it's really important as teachers that we embrace all of the different ways. So that's where it's sort of a gift to someone who is dyslexic, because they can have their own way validated, and it can be the right way to get there.
They're able to apply their higher order thinking skills in ways that many students are not. I know that my students even stump me on a daily basis in finding so many different ways of solving problems that I was not even able to come up with.
Math facts can also be a challenge for many dyslexic learners.
Working memory is a difficulty for many dyslexics. The kill and drill system of just rote memorization is not how a dyslexic mind works.
Many dyslexics will struggle with multiplication tables, times tables, because they have a difficult time instantly pulling up this information and applying it.
There's a lot of emphasis on times tables, which is only really testing one type of intelligence, which is memorising. It's no judge of whether you're a good mathematician or a bad mathematician. It's just a judge of whether you can memorise.
I think that teachers should just not focus so much on things like times tables and give the child a times table square they can use and think about that application of knowledge. Quite often what I see with maths teachers is very well-meaning teachers rephrasing questions. So a teacher might say, 7 times 2. You know 7 times 2. You know it, it's 2 times 7. So the child is processing 7 times 2. They're processing the sentence, you know it, so they're now thinking, do I know it? And then they're processing a whole new question of 2 times 7.
I know children who know their times tables inside out, but they have no understanding about how big 121 is compared to another number. So actually, I sometimes find memorising and just rote learning is very unhelpful.
There's so many ways that you can use multisensory teaching. Students, of course, love to have more hands-on learning, so using manipulatives and building problems, or understanding, of course, foundational math skills of what a number is and actually creating that number and composing it and decomposing it and seeing that visually, while also having that tactile function that allows them to really resonate and understand the concept.
Putting even something as simple as some paper clips in front of them for ratio, for instance, that's really, really helpful, just sort of moving different amounts around and seeing how one amount relates to the other. Whereas if it's just a number on a page, that can be very difficult to interpret.
You need to show them the repeated addition. We need to bill 4 times. They need to visually be able to see that 4 times 4 does equal 16, but they need multiple avenues of actually being able to visually and auditorily understand that concept.
I do a lot of sort of maths in nature, in patterns and sequences and colours and shapes. I might use interactive games and exercises. There's lots of really good websites that children can work on which reinforce the work that we've been doing.
By giving them a real-world context, by giving them ways other than just paper and pencil to think through and understand how to process that problem can be a game changer.
I think the dyslexic brain, they can make connections in different ways. They might not know how they've got to that end point. They might not be able to record how they've got to that end point, but they should be rewarded that they have found the solution to it. But in today's examining testing system, they can be penalised for that, even if they get the right answer. If they can't show how they have got it, sometimes no marks are awarded at all. Some children can be very good, very strong in some areas of maths, but very weak in others. And a blanket test score would not actually reflect any of that, wouldn't reflect their strengths and weaknesses.
The problem we have with education today is that in order to measure children, we have to actually make them all conform to the same thing so we can measure them. But in actual fact, what we need are children who think out of the box, who find different ways of doing things, who actually don't fit into the mould.
Think of Einstein. He saw the whole universe. And he managed to make it a concept that we understand through a formula.
In the end, it doesn't matter if they know 7 times 6. It doesn't matter if they know 9 times 9. They need to be able to read a problem and figure it out. Can they apply that information to a real-world situation? And if they need to bring out a calculator to do 7 times 6, that's okay. No one is going to walk down the street and ask you for a multiplication fact.
As a dyslexic, learning things by rote and sort of long lists of things we find really hard. And that can actually sometimes be sort of quite a penalty for us. But at the same time, we have the big picture. We can conceptualise, we use our imaginations. And as you go through the school system and further on in life, these are the things that really count. So they should be promoted in every dyslexic.